The United States government has been tightening its grip on foreign students, specifically after Trump administration's policies. Marco Rubio, the US Secretary of State, recently stated that getting a visa to the United States is a privilege, not a right. He made it very clear in an article, asserting that visiting America is not an entitlement, but a privilege granted to those who respect US laws and values. Rubio's comments came at a time when the US is seeing a crackdown on certain protests and political activities, particularly on college campuses. Let's talk about that first. Foreign students, including many from India, are facing heightened scrutiny as the US government moves to ensure that international students follow all the rules and regulations while in the country. In a series of legal action, the Trump administration has cancelled the visa of some international students, leading to widespread concern about the safety of students' legal status. These actions have been resulted in lawsuits with students claiming that they were unfairly targeted and deprived of due process when their visas were revoked. The controversy stems from the fact that some foreign students have had their visa cancelled for a reason and that don't seem directly related to any legal status, like minor violation or even for being involved in campus protests. While it's very important for students to comply with the laws of the country that they are in, many feel that the government is overreaching and punishing students unnecessarily. Several international students who had their visas revoked had filed lawsuit against the US government. These students argue that the government didn't provide enough justification for cancelling their visa or violating any right. Schools like Harvard, Stanford, and the University of Maryland, as well as smaller colleges, have been affected. Now, for Indian students who are studying in the US, this situation is concerning because it creates uncertainty. In some cases, students have no idea why their visas were cancelled, making it very hard for them to plan their future in the US. So, why are these visa revocations happening? Sometimes students get caught up in issues as minor as old traffic violation, or in some cases, it's unclear why they were targeted. But what's raising more eyebrows is that in certain high-profile cases, students were deported or had their visa cancelled because of their involvement in political protests, particularly related to pro-Palestine movement. In the case of Columbia University student Mahmoud Khalil, for example, the Trump administration argued that it had the right to deport students involved in these protests. But this approach has raised alarms about the potential overreach by the government, specifically when many of the students affected had no involvement in the protests. Now, for Indian students wishing to study in the US, obtaining a student visa, typically an F1 visa, involves a thorough process. After being accepted to a US university, students must apply for a visa at a US embassy or consulate. They need to show that they have enough financial resources to cover their studies and living expenses while in the US. Once they get a visa, students are allowed to enter the US and begin their studies. However, the US Department of Homeland Security closely monitors international students through the Student and Exchange Visitor Program. This particular system keeps track on students' legal status while they are in the country. In the past, universities would update the government if a student dropped out or transferred. But now, students are finding out that their visa status has been revoked when the government checks the SEVP database, sometimes without any clear reason why. So in the end, the crackdown on foreign students in the US raises an important question about how immigration law could be enforced. On the other hand, it is very important for countries to protect their security and ensure that visitors respect their laws.